All right, I'll do it in 3, 2, 1.
Can you guys see my
Is it recording?
It looks like it. Yeah, because that little red button came up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I push record. I don't.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we're recording.
Okay.
And we start now.
Hello. We are presenting on Mesa Airlines by me, Morgan Miller, Brent Viney, Danzel Walker, and Kara Warner for our senior capstone. This is a little history of the Mesa Airlines. So it started in Farmington, New Mexico with founder Larry Risley and his wife Janie in 1982. They started with a Piper Saratoga aircraft, and they called their new airline Mesa Airline Shuttle. The name originated from the airport in Farmington, which sits on actual Mesa, and which is a flat-top mountain or hill. In 1984, they added their first twin-engine aircraft, which they renamed to Mesa Airlines in 1987, and went public and expanded to 11 aircrafts. In 1992, they entered into a long partnership with America West Airlines, which still continues today with American Airlines. In 1992, they were named the Air Transport World Regional Airline of 1993. In 2000, Michael Lotz was appointed president. A little continued history. In 2001, they became the launch customer for CRJ 900 and began an agreement with Frontier to operate as Frontier Jet Express out of Denver. Mesa founder Larry Risley passed away in 2004, and they honored by aircraft tail numbers ending in LR, and that aircraft still flies today. In 2005, Mesa celebrated its 100th regional jet and was named the Air Transport World Regional Airline of the Year for the second time. Mesa restructured by eliminating 50-seat aircrafts to becoming the first regional airline to operate only large regional jets in 2010. They announced the addition of 12 more E-175 aircraft and opened the brand new state-of-the-art air training center in Phoenix in 2017. Most recently, they celebrated their 40th anniversary. A little bit of background or problem identification with Mesa Airlines is that it's been is keeping pilots. There's a shortage of employees and pilots, as well, working towards finding the solution with loans for pilots to obtain enough flying hours to qualify. They have started a program where they are trying to utilize pilots and helping them obtain their hours while obtaining the safety protocol. The Federal Aviation Administration rejected a request by the Republic Airways Incorporation, another regional airline, to go through the special program, the Airlines Training Academy. They found that the Republic's proposal would not provide the equivalent level of safety, and which the issue lies within the safety of the pilots, passengers, and employees. And they're looking to weaken rules and cut corners. So typically pilots have 250 hours of flying time under their belt coming out of flight school with the commercial license. And in the US, pilots, they must have at least 1,500 hours of flying experience to qualify for a job at an airline, unless they had former military experience or graduated from universities with professional aviation programs. Mesa is hoping to accommodate about over 1,000 pilots a year, offering a program and their own light sports planes for $25 an hour, with flying up to 40 hours a week, which is reasonable when it comes to cost effectiveness. Their leadership, communication strategies, and ethics. Here are a few questions that Mesa asks to when it comes to moving forward in business. Is this the right thing to do? Is it legal? Am I authorized to do this? Is this permitted under code? Would we want to see this report in the media? And a little bit of the Mesa finances. In 2022, Mesa was up 5.44% in sales growth, and they had a negative 12.72 return on average assets and 15 total investments of advances. And a little snippet on the side from the Wall Street Journal.
All right. My name is Brent Viney, and this is our literature review for our case analysis. In the last few years, Mesa Air and many other small regional airlines have been running into pilot shortages that have been extremely difficult to overcome. According to Peter Greenberg of CBS News, this has mostly been caused by the growing demand for air travel as well as the COVID-19 pandemic. With this growing demand and the current requirements for commercial pilots, including the 1,500-hour rule, airlines have struggled to hire enough qualified pilots to keep up. To make this problem worse, during the pandemic, federal aid was issued to many major airlines to keep flights on schedule and ensure large amounts of employees were not laid off by these airlines. Even though these airlines received this federal aid, Greenberg stated the airlines were desperate to preserve cash. While they couldn't lay off anyone until after the aid ran out, they were able to offer very attractive early retirement and buyout packages to employees across the board. Peter went on to say that these airlines expected about 4% of their employees to accept the early retirement / buyouts, but ultimately about 8% of these employees accepted the offer. And as you can imagine, this led to many of the major airlines stuck without pilots to keep up with demand. This kind of leads us into our Wall Street Journal article. Airlines pitch to aspiring pilots, fly our planes now, work for us later. As many of these major airlines started hiring as many pilots as they possibly could, they were doing pretty much anything they could, including bonuses, higher salaries, and many of these smaller regional airlines were having trouble keeping up with the higher wages. Many of the larger airlines like Delta and Southwest specifically gave time period pay bumps to get people to leave. So they aren't necessarily offering people, more salary for their entire career there, only for the next, year or 2 years. According to Allison Slider of the Wall Street Journal, the smaller airlines are trying to find more creative ways to hire as many pilots as possible. But obviously, as you can imagine, this has still been tough. Along with raises, Mesa Air has recently purchased 29 planes that they will be renting to prospective pilots at $25 an hour. They actually have a deal with an option to buy up to 75 planes. Slider stated that Mesa Air is even offering interest-free loans for people that want to complete their 1,500 hours of flying. This would allow them up to 40 hours per week of flight experience. And then another couple of things that Mesa is offering is seniority status for pilots that complete the program. And then Mesa Air hopes to offer this program to more than 1,000 pilots per year in the future. And that was all I had on the literature review.
All right, we got the SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. I'm ready for the strengths. Okay, Mesa Airlines have a lot of potential despite the industry woes. Let's go over some of their strengths that give them their potential. Mesa Airlines is the first and only airline to operate a narrow-body aircraft. This is advantageous to the company because it is the lowest in fuel burn, which means they have a cost-saving advantage that others don't currently have. It is their willingness to be innovative that benefits them the most. Currently, they are working on Archer Maker aircraft. This will be fully electric aircraft that will help decarbonize air travel. Also, the pay rates are some of the highest for regional flights, if not the highest. According to mesaair.com, they are paying captains $150 per hour and first officers $100 per hour. On to the weaknesses. Like many in the industry, Mesa has its fair share of weaknesses. They currently lack skilled workers to fill those high-paying positions. There has been a shortage of pilots, and this affects Mesa Airlines' day-to-day business. Another thing that has affected them is their finances. Author Howard Hardy of FlightGlobal.com reports Mesa Airlines lost 183 million last year alone. This doesn't sit well when Mesa Airlines prides itself on being regional, and regional flights were down most of 2022. In fact, Wall Street Journal reports that seating capacity of regional flights fell below the pandemic levels last year. Despite the mishaps, a lot of good opportunities exist for Mesa Airlines. Mesa Airlines can train and recruit pilots at a high rate. They have tailored their training to combat the pilot crisis. According to FlightGlobal.com, they currently have over 400 pilots in their training pipeline. On another high note, Charlie Grant of the Wall Street Journal reports that the stock is up in the travel industry so far in 2023. One of the biggest winners so far in 2023 is United Airlines, a new partner to Mesa Airlines. United will be helping Mesa with some of its financial struggles and collaborating with them on the electric Archer Maker aircraft. And Mesa also are investors themselves. They have invested in a company called Hart Aerospace. Hart Aerospace is planning on producing a 19-seat electric aircraft. This will be the first of its kind. In conclusion, some threats still exist for Mesa Airlines moving forward. With the lack of pilots and fast-tracking those in training, trust from the public will have to be earned. Without the public trust, they won't have the seating capacity they're looking for. They're also susceptible to the aerospace market. When things are good, they're great. However, when you're not a main airline, when things are bad, things become catastrophic. Another threat of being a smaller airline is the competition for pilots from commercial airlines. Bigger commercial airlines will have top picks of the pilots, leaving others to find new enticing ways to recruit. Author John Sendrew of the Wall Street Journal states, many regional aircraft are operated by small firms under fixed price agreements with mainline airlines, and that latter has spent a decade cutting feeder traffic to consolidate into fewer hub airports. The latest crisis in the aerospace and travel industries have justified these cutbacks. This will be a continued obstacle for the smaller airlines.
All right, so my name's Kara, and for the last portion of this presentation, we're going to go over some of the recommendations for Mesa Airlines to combat this issue of pilot shortages, and then we'll end with kind of an overview of everything that was presented. So for the recommendations portion, first, we want to leverage their strengths and opportunities. So where does Mesa succeed and what sets them apart from others when it comes to this issue? So as stated in portions of the literature review and the SWOT analysis, Mesa has offered pilot training programs and signing bonuses to potential pilots with their airlines. So the program aims to support over 1,000 pilots each year by allowing them to fly small aircrafts for only $25 an hour, up to 40 hours a week, making it easier for potential pilots to obtain the 1,500 hours required to fly commercial airlines. Mesa has also offered a generous signing bonus to new pilots joining the airline, which is $20,000, larger than a lot of their competitors. And then just to continue recommendations. So mitigating the weaknesses and threats. So the obvious area of weakness in Mesa's case is that they're struggling to hire pilots, much like many other major airlines. The COVID-19 pandemic greatly affected airlines in general, just like any other businesses. So this resulted in suspended trainings for potential pilots, and then obviously current pilots felt that they were being pressured into an early retirement, which caused pilot numbers to plummet. It became increasingly more difficult to get a position in a commercial airline. So many pilots, as I stated before, either retired or sought other lines of work. And then those positions that were once hard to obtain during the pandemic are now being difficult to fill with qualified candidates. So to fix this, airlines are partnering with training facilities and recruiting programs to bring in more pilots. They're offering incentives like signing bonuses. They're subsidizing education costs. and they're offering competitive benefits and wages. So I think that Mesa's hit the mark with many of these recommendations, and continuing to offer these things will be the best course of action to make the issue that they're dealing with right now a short-lived one. And then finally, just to conclude and kind of give an overview of what we've talked about. So Mesa Airlines has faced similar struggles, similar to other airline competitors with the pilot shortage. So it's been an issue since the pandemic, and we're just now starting to see this issue turn itself around. So in combination with the pandemic, a higher demand for air travel has contributed to the issue. And as a result, it's become increasingly difficult to find qualified candidates to fill these pilot roles. So to combat the issue, Mesa has to differentiate themselves from other airlines by offering training programs, incentives, bonuses, and competitive pay, which have helped grow pilot numbers for the company. If Mesa can meet employee needs of pilots, they will be able to overcome the pilot shortage that we've experienced since 2020 and possibly come back more financially successful than they were before.